My brother and I were especially close the whole time we were growing up because we moved around so much. We didn't form as many friendships with other kids, but we had a really tight friendship with each other. I believe that I probably was the closest person to him on earth, and he was to me.
David and Joanne were, I think, joined at the hip. As they were children, she followed him around and worshiped him, I would say. And in later years, the tables turned, and Joanne was David's anchor.
I can remember him being beaten up at school frequently, teased by the other kids. I remember my dad being pretty disappointed in him a lot. You know, when my dad was home, whatever it was that he wanted my brother to be, my brother wasn't it. I was always trying to get my dad to approve of my brother. Something would be different about him. There would be kind of a cold look in his eye, and he would be really short, and angry isn't the right word. It was just it was like he was a different person. I definitely got the impression he was having a hard time at boarding school. I remember him talking about how hard it was to live in the dorm.
I would say he was probably a bit introverted and maybe reclusive. At some point, he picked up the knife. I remember being somewhat alarmed. I reached out and said, "David, just hand me the knife and we'll stop right now." And that's when he slashed out and cut me right here between the thumb and forefinger.
He'd get angry, and sometimes it was, frightening, and I didn't feel safe all the time with him because of the anger. He ended up going to mental health and getting some counseling and some medication.
I think it was right around the time that his marriage was starting to have problems. He came in and he was pretty down. So he was started on antidepressant therapy because he met the criteria. As I recall, he didn't follow up with maybe one time, and then he just said, I don't need it.
My parents were both yelling at each other, and my mom was starting to cry a little bit, and my dad got so upset with her that he actually grabbed her and shoved her up against the wall.
He came out of the room and he was really angry, and he kind of grabbed me from where I was around the table, the kitchen table with the kids, and kind of threw me through the doorway into the bedroom. I got the restraining order and proceeded with divorce.
So I remember once him just really being angry with her, and he told me that he had a pistol in his pocket, and he was headed for her house, and he was planning to shoot her. After the divorce, my brother, it seemed like he couldn't bounce back from that. He was really, really rocked. He had a lot of trouble keeping a job. He showed up on my doorstep saying he was just a basket case. He was shaking, he was crying, he was saying, I'm having suicidal thoughts. My husband and I had only been married for about 1.5 years, and he was not happy with my brother moving in with us. In fact, he said no. I asked him not to ask me to choose between them. I said, if you ask me to choose between you and my brother, I'll have to choose my brother, because if something happens to him, because I've turned him away, I will never be able to live with myself. I remember talking to my brother and telling him in this conversation that I was considering moving back east. And I remember a change coming over him as I said that. And he said in that very strange, different voice, well, if you did that, I'd have to kill you. It's the first time I really felt danger from him. He hallucinated that he stabbed Dad 60 times with a hunting knife. And there was just blood everywhere. And that, just totally freaked him out. And I was just horrified. Somehow, as his mental condition deteriorated, I had this sense of impending disaster. When we left, everyone was leaving except my husband and my brother. I remember the day that I left, my brother walked out with me to the car, and with tears in his eyes, he said, please don't do this, don't go, please don't go. I just really feel like something terrible could happen.
And my stepdad really did not like my uncle, and he was making it very clear that he wanted him out. And my uncle, of course, hated him for it.
Everybody's relationship with Dave was strained at the time, particularly my brothers. And here, Joanne and Jennifer and myself were going to be leaving, and they were going to be there left alone together. And I remember thinking, I hope they don't get in a big fight or anything bad happens. I just had a bad feeling.
I got a call from my brother that he had, and he was crying, and he said, I took the plane up and I tried to crash it into a mountain, and I came really close, and he was crying, and he said, I need you to come back home. I called the cabin, and my husband picked up the phone, and he was, I could hear him eating. I could hear the spoon clinking. He was sitting at the counter eating, and I thought he was in the house by himself. We were laughing, and right in the middle of that conversation, I heard a sound that sounded like lightning hit the line or something, and then the phone clunked down.
I hear Joanne's, talking, and then I hear her say, what was that? Into the phone.